Show podcast. Hello, I'm Scott. That's Lauren over there.
Hello.
How you doing today?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. You know, it's a lot of stuff, you know. And we'll dive into it. If you want to find us on Instagram, you search Wilder Show Pod. That's Wilder Show Pod. I expect you to remember it, even though I can't remember it. Wilder Show Pod. That's what you'll search. You'll find us. You'll follow us, and we appreciate that. If you want to send us an email, just email to podcast@wildershow.com. The Wilder Show podcast drops Tuesdays and Fridays at 6 a.m. Central Time on Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeart, Amazon, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. So, like, rate, follow, subscribe, and share. And we appreciate you doing that. Wow, what a tough weekend.
Devastating.
I mean, we're talking obviously about the only story in the news since Friday. Right? I think the death toll is up to, it's greater than 90. By the time this podcast drops, I would expect it to be very close to 100. I think it might be to 97, 98, 99 by the time you are joining us for this. Miss Camp Mystic, girls camp, Christian camp on the Guadalupe River. And we all know what happened.
Yeah.
The floods. Early in the morning, between 1:15 and 2:30, something like that. I mean, the river went up 24 feet. 24 feet.
In no time at all.
I mean, and we'll get into all the different things. People are trying to say, whose fault was it, and what about this? And, you know, it's just so, it is so predictable. But it's, and in my view, it's just sad that we can't even allow people to mourn before people are pointing fingers and trying to say, it's because of this, it's because of that. And some of the stuff I've seen online is just disgusting.
It's evil.
It is evil, and I'll tell you something. It comes from the same place and the same worldview. We'll talk about that here in a little bit.
Do you think some of it is just also our need to try to control something that is not controllable?
Maybe
if we can place blame, if we can.
Well, except I say yes, except that it's amazing how that need to control things is never so great that it results in most people blaming the people that agree with them.
Yeah, I see.
I think it's more just opportunistic. They say, see? In fact, some of the things we'll get to in a second that make me crazy. People hate Texas. And you know what? I'm glad. I'm glad they hate Texas.
Why?
I like being hated.
No.
I mean, not personally. Personally, I have a great need to be liked. But
I'm pretty sure that's not true. That's not true.
but look, if people don't like Texas, you couldn't see ever living in Texas because Texas is, you know, this, that, and the other, and you know we have policies that, you know, you feel you're not safe, and if you're in Texas, well, and I'll just say this: I want you to be safe. I want you to be safe, and if you don't feel that Texas is a place where you would be safe, I want you to go to a place that is not Texas.
For sure. Go
to where you need to go to be safe.
You know, I when I hear you say you don't mind Texas being hated,
yeah.
I think of that, you know, from the perspective of the haters. And I don't want anybody to feel that. I don't want anybody to have to feel that kind of anger, that kind of hate in their heart, in their mind, anywhere. There are plenty of places I don't want to be. There are plenty of places I know that I don't want to live. I don't hate them.
I don't hate them.
I think part of the reason they hate us, we make a big deal out of how great we are.
Well,
there's a lot of Texas pride.
Yeah, there is.
And people don't like that. They like to shoot down.
Yeah,
they think that you got a big head then, and they don't like people to.
Yeah, it's okay, man. I mean, really, go to another state. If you want to go somewhere else, go somewhere else. It's good. I don't want you here. I mean, I don't think we want you here. And go and mess some other state up. Take your values somewhere else. We don't care if you don't come. I don't care. I don't look. Our state's growing just fine. I mean, we're going to be the number 1 or 2 state from a population standpoint in the next 10 years.
I know.
And so we want the good ones to come, not the bad ones to come. The bad ones we want to go somewhere else. What did I say wrong?
No, nothing. You're a little more comfortable with conflict than I am.
No. I don't see it as conflict. This is where you and I, our paths diverge.
A little bit.
You say, well, how could you not see it as conflict? You just told people to go away. You don't
want
want
them here.
No, but that's. I'm thinking of them. I'm saying
you want them to be happy.
I do.
And if they can't be happy here,
that's right.
Go somewhere else.
And especially if your presence here makes us unhappy. But mainly, like when Rosie O'Donnell wanted to go to Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
Go to Ireland. Go have a wonderful life somewhere else. If that's what makes you happy. That is me being a peacemaker.
No, I understand that too.
I'm not being aggressive or mean or anything.
I guess I feel like
conflict.
So many people who say they don't want to come here, they've never been here.
Yeah, that's okay.
And people who are so wrapped up in that hate and that animosity. I just feel like just relax a little bit.
Okay.
Just come try it.
Yeah.
You might like it.
Yeah, but I it's okay with me if they don't.
I know.
I want to give you some examples of the people that I would prefer not to see in our great state. These are some tweets or X's, whatever, that have gone out before the bodies have all been recovered. There's no FEMA to pick you up by your bootstraps. They gave it all to ICE. I'm kind of happy the National Weather Service gave incorrect predictions when it came to how much rain would fall, especially since the best and brightest from that org were let go due to Doge, Elon, and Trump. Texas deserves the flooding.
That's a terrible thing to say.
Let me keep going. Cry harder. Texas deserves it. And I love this one. Texas deserves every flood. God has spoken, and it hates Texas. So God apparently is also gender neutral. It hates Texas.
It's sick. It's painful to hear. It's so sad. I
got to keep going. The people in Texas voted for government services controlled by Donald Trump and Greg Abbott. This is exactly what they are getting. Somebody writes, good, I'm glad. Did it take Rogan with it too? I can only hope. Texas deserves it. It's God's will, of course. That's what God would have wanted, right, Republicans? Ha, 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 ha. My empathy for these redneck reject states is zero.
Yikes.
So blank them. I hope more to come. Let's start the hurricanes. Now,
how can they sleep at night?
Because they are surrounded by other scumbags that tell them they're funny and that they're right. But they are not moored. They're not moored by anything that has a value. They see things that advance their cause as good and things that oppose their cause as bad. They have no moral center. They're unmoored. They're unanchored. They don't view good and evil based on anything other than what advances their cause or what keeps their cause from advancing. That's it. And if you want to know what really happened, let me give you an example. When Trump learned of the Guadalupe River flooding disaster, his response was this, in all caps: anything you need, just ask. Well, this writer writes, we asked for Black Hawk helicopters and military with equipment for search and rescue. Within an hour, they were flying over the river, rescuing and leading the way. This is what I voted for. And this person was writing, by the way, I didn't write it.
Yeah.
No, this person was writing in response to all the people that say, this isn't what I voted for. This isn't, the cuts in this and the cuts in that. This isn't what I voted for. He's saying, this is what I voted for. This is what we needed. We needed, in this case, a man like this to do this when the need was greatest. And President Trump is going to be here in our great state later this week.
Friday, right?
Yeah. Now listen to this. In 2017, Texas received a grant from the Trump administration and used the money to install 10 new gauges and high water detection systems. In 2023, Pepsi awarded a grant that was used to replace 2 radial gates that regulate flooding and high tide on the Guadalupe River. Tom Fahey is a legislative director for the National Weather Service, and he said local weather stations, and he doesn't mean television stations, the local weather stations that monitor for the National Weather Service. Stations were adequately staffed and issued warning on the evening of the 3rd and the morning of July 4th. He made it clear that staffing and funding had nothing to do with it.
That's encouraging.
But that doesn't, yeah, but it won't
doesn't stop anybody from
No.
the things you were reading before.
It doesn't stop the other side because they're just sick. They're just sick. They're out for blood. I don't get it. I mean, they lost. They're just little thumbsuckers. They can't believe they lost, and they're going to do everything they can. I mean, even in this, I mean, think about this. I go back to the thing with the little black kid who beat cancer at the president's address to Congress, and this little black kid beat cancer. Not a single Democrat could stand and applaud, not one, because their hate for Trump is greater than their love for almost anything except abortion. They love abortion as much as they hate Trump. So we continue to pray for the families. I have a buddy. We remember the story I told you about a guy who had a hamster. He named the hamster Dammit.
I do.
He lost everything.
Oh, man.
He lost his house, lost his truck. He survived, and he wrote, basically, by the skin of his teeth, he survived. He lost everything. Maybe you know someone who was there at this camp. There are lots of questions that will be addressed at some point, but I don't think there are any answers. I mean, this isn't like it was, a gradual thing over, 7 days. I mean, this happened in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
In the middle of the night at a camp. And it's resulted in, I believe, very close to 100 deaths. And, of course, those families will never be the same.
No.
I mean, July 4th will forever be different in Texas.
I believe you're right.
I think it will always be. Do you remember where you were then or when? Anyway, very, very, very difficult. Can I share one more difficult thing that you will not be able to unhear?
Sure.
Those kids have been at camp for a week. Some kids might have written their families a letter from camp.
That hasn't arrived yet.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it is.
Just heartbreaking.
So, anyway, remember them in your prayers. The relief agencies are saying, please don't come and volunteer.
Right.
We have plenty of people. You want to give money, give money. But we have, in fact, some places, Red Cross is saying, we have all the money we need designated for this thing.
For right now.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to give money to the Red Cross or whoever, or Samaritan's Purse, then do it. But they're saying, hey, we can't designate money right now for this. We're done. We're full up. And the problem volunteers see, if you're not already a part of an organization that does this, if you haven't already done this many times when the cameras were not on, you can't get into it now. It's too late now.
Well, it's already such a chaotic environment.
And your presence down there puts things in people's lives at risk because with more rain that is coming, they have to stop what they're doing and come rescue you. So maybe you would use this as an opportunity to go and be a part of something like this. Maybe you think it's a good idea. Go do that. Find an organization that you want to volunteer your time and begin doing that. And then at some point down the road, there will be a need, and you will be equipped in a way that you aren't right now.
To be dispatched to wherever the crisis is.
Yeah, that's good. So use that as a. Sometimes it feels like, I'm not suggesting anybody, this is true of anybody listening to this, but it just feels like everybody wants to be a part of a big event and have their Instagram and their social media reflect they're a part of a big event. If you want to be a part of this big event, then pray. That's a big event. If you want to be a part of this big event, post something about praying or donating to a cause or to the camp itself. I mean, they're going to have massive needs for rebuilding, assuming they do, and I assume that they will. It's been around 100 years.
Yeah.
That camp is not going away. Now, they're going to reinforce stuff, and lots of things will be different. The camp director died.
I do know that.
He died saving girls.
Mm-hmm. That's Dick Eastland.
That's right, Dick Eastland. So a year from now, 2 years from now, whatever the number is, the great hall that is rebuilt, the ceremony that we will all be paying attention to probably on a July 4th weekend, if not next year, the next year, they will unveil the Dick Eastland Great Room. And it'll be dedicated to a man who died a hero.
He gave his life.
He did indeed. When he tried to save the lives of campers, his girls there staying at Camp Mystic in Hunt, Texas. 70 years old. He was the camp director and bought the camp in 1974.
Okay, I was going to say. So it had been there for almost 100 years.
Almost 100 years. Yeah.
And he's had it for almost 50. Next year would have been 50.
Camp Mystic's Dick Eastland, no doubt, gave his life attempting to save the campers for decades. He and his wife's name is Tweety. His wife, Tweety, poured his life, their lives, into loving and developing girls and women of character. Thank you, Mr. Eastland. We love you and we miss you. That was Representative August Pfluger, Republican of Texas, writing of Eastland's devotion to the camp. Anyway, gosh, rest in peace just seems so
inadequate.
It does, but we say it for him, for all those who passed. And let me just say one other word about the coverage of this flooding in Texas. I listen or watch the news stories on Sunday morning. And one of those is Meet the Press. It is the longest running news television show in history. What did they have on Meet the Press on Sunday, the day after this happened? What do they have on CNN? Live folks on the ground. What do they have on Fox? Folks on the ground. What do they have on CBS and ABC and folks on the ground?
Yeah.
With MSNBC, PBS, everybody on the ground. What did Meet the Press do? They did.
I'm afraid to know.
Yeah. Meet the Press has 4 interviews that were in the can that had already aired. One was Olivia Munn talking about her breast cancer.
Yeah.
One was Bob Costas. One is the Khan Academy founder. And one was the poet girl who gave a poem at one of the Obama's inaugurations. They had 4 in the can interviews on the day after the biggest story in the nation.
Is there any explanation for that?
Yeah, it's called...
any official explanation for that?
It's called journalism malpractice.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. I mean, there is actual news, breaking news, huge news, and they didn't cover it on the longest running news show in television history. Not one mention of the biggest story in the nation, all for a day off. It is shameful. Tim Russert spinning in his grave. Okay, who told you that the Musk-Trump thing was not going to last and it would not end well?
Well, you did.
you couldn't have 2, in this case men, probably more likely if it was men, you couldn't have 2 men with such massive egos on the same team for long. It wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
I said at the time, they're using each other. Trump used him. Trump needed his money for the election, and Elon needed the president to get whatever he's getting in exchange for whatever, for Tesla and for the space programs. They get the SpaceX. The truth is about space, though, the United States space program needs Musk more than Musk needs the United States space program. I mean, he's willing to put all the money on the line. It's like we're hopping on board his moving train. It's not a train to the sky, but you get the idea. Musk now says he puts a little a poll out on X, on his little social media thing, the former Twitter. For all the genius that people say he is, changing that thing from Twitter to X,
yeah,
I don't get that. I mean, you became the generic verb. I'm gonna tweet it, right? I put out a tweet. I'm gonna tweet this. I'm gonna tweet that. Nobody says I'm gonna X this.
No.
I'm gonna X that. Anyway, Musk put a little survey out and said basically, who wants to have a third political party? And I don't know, 2-1, it came back yes.
Okay.
So he says, okay.
He fancies himself the supporter of that, or
he's already going to start one.
He's going to okay.
It's called you have the Republican Party. You have the Democrat Party, and now the new one is called. It's a great name.
What is it?
The American Party.
Oh wow!
Now think about that for a second. A lot of people say, "Look, I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm just an American."
Yeah.
Can't you see those ads? American Party, American Party, American Party.
Yeah.
I think Musk should stick to rockets and Mars and building cars, and please fix that horrible truck. It's a very ugly truck. Ross Perot and his little third-party venture gave us President Clinton.
Sure did.
Split that vote. Any third party that's a serious third party that gets, 15, 18, 20% of the vote is going to take it away most likely from one side more than the other. In which case, the other side is not having as much stolen from them goes, absolutely. If Musk wants to have a third party, absolutely. I mean, they don't want Bernie Sanders to have a third party because that splits.
He would have taken away from them, yeah.
But Musk, absolutely.
Sure.
Musk should do. But, Musk has a lot going against him that Ross Perot didn't so much have it going against him. Musk's negatives are higher than Perot's negatives were. I mean, people don't like Musk. I mean, a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't, and especially those that he might most likely get on his side would be the Trump people. But the Trump people now are mad at Musk because Musk has sort of messed stuff up with their buddy, with the president.
Yeah.
Okay, so he might have a hard time with those people. He's going to have no chance with the other people.
No.
They're not going to go for him, right? Now,
right.
So the thing is, though, we could end up, and hopefully not. I don't think it's going to make a difference. I really don't think it'll make a difference.
He seems far more divisive as a man, as a public figure, as a businessman than Ross Perot could have ever dreamed of being.
No question. No question about that. So we'll see where this goes. But the main thing I think most people that are conservative want is to make sure that it doesn't mess up the midterms.
Yeah.
The midterms are important. If Republicans lose the House of Representatives, it could portend some difficult things in the second 2 years of the second term of the president. So we'll continue to watch it, but I don't think it's going to make a difference. I think he's a tinkerer, right?
He is.
I mean, he's got $1 trillion. And he comes in and says, I'm going to come in and I'm going to impact this. And so he does. I'm going to come in and impact that. And if you vote against this, I'm going to find a way to have you primaried. And the next time around, you're not going to be able to even be the nominee from your party for your House seat or your Senate seat. And that's the threat that he made for those who voted for the big, beautiful bill. Oh, one note on that, if I could. The big, bad, beautiful, what's it called? The big, beautiful?
Big, beautiful bill.
Big, beautiful bill. One of the things that comes with the big, beautiful bill will cause Planned Parenthood to lose nearly $1 billion in taxpayer funds.
Wow.
And I think that's fantastic. And also they will be forced to close nearly 200 facilities. Now, if you know what they do in those facilities, then that's probably not a bad thing. It's not for me. I think it's a good thing. All we're talking about is defunding it. We're not talking about destroying it. You want to keep going with the business that you're doing? You want to do that? You want to, quote, help those girls that have these unwanted pregnancies? Then go do it.
You can get funds from other places.
I mean, we know that the demand is higher than it was last year and higher than it was the year before. So there's plenty of demand there for your services. Now, you're going to have to do it without having the government put their thumb on the scale and give you taxpayer dollars. but I know you really believe in your cause. And so that's not going to hold you back.
Shouldn't be hard funding it.
You shouldn't be closing a single one of those places, especially since you tell us that abortions only account for 3% of all the work that you do. We're not going to keep a mill open that kills babies because it also perhaps sometimes provides a mammogram to a woman. Sorry. You want to provide mammograms to women? Fantastic. Provide mammograms to women. But you talk about an organization that is so poorly named. Planned Parenthood is not about planning anything. It's not about parenthood.
It's true.
Oh, it is time for Scattershoot.
Let's go.
Wilder Show Scattershoot. Kind of need a Scattershoot.
You know,
just a little bit of a, not ever to disrespect other things, but just to exhale just a little bit, don't you think?
yes,
Just
but
a little bit.
I still feel it feels incongruous to talk about anything light still.
It does. It does. If you want to not listen, you don't have to listen. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, right?
I remember.
What should we do? Should we do a scatter shoot?
No,
we don't have to.
I think we do a scatter shoot.
We don't have to do a scatter
I think
shoot.
we do a scatter shoot.
And then people could listen later.
Well, we still remember. We still know.
Sure.
We don't forget about
No, of course not.
the heartache and the I mean, that's always happening. We're just closer to it this
No,
time, I
that's
think,
true.
because it's so big and it's so close, and it's everywhere on the news. And I don't want to forget when it's not everywhere on the
Yeah,
news.
I mean that's the thing. There will be a day coming, and it probably is the next 7 days.
Yeah.
I mean, at some point, Anderson Cooper will go back to New York or whatever, whoever's down there, and then they'll all go back. They'll find the next thing. I mean, that's the way news is. You
I know.
They find the next thing. There'll be something else.
I know.
Because the next round is going. By the way, Bill Weir is trying to find his big boy tie because he knows he'll be able to get on TV soon and talk about global warming. I'm sorry, climate change, and how this is all because of climate change.
Yeah.
You know, that whole thing. They started with the thing of global warming. The planet's getting hotter, and all the oceans are going to rise, and all of a sudden, Manhattan is going to drown, right? It's all going to sink. All the islands will sink. And then, of course, that didn't happen. It's supposed to happen by like 2012 or something. There's a movie called 2012 that was about that very thing.
I remember that.
Like, oh, my gosh, look what's going to happen in 2012. Oh, my goodness. And then it turns out it didn't happen. So have to change the name. Climate change. Oh, okay. So when it's extra cold, that's global warming. Yeah, that's climate change because that's the new way we talk about it, climate change. So it's extra rain. That's climate change. It's raining more. It's hailing more. It's snowing more. It's windier more. It's sunnier more. It's whatever. Hurricanes more.
Yeah.
Even though there haven't been more hurricanes.
Right.
That's climate change. Anyway, Bill Weir, who is their climate change reporter, and everything with this guy. I mean, inside the park home run in one game, and the same player, Abreu, getting a grand slam. Climate change. I mean, everything with this guy is climate change. Anyway, I digress, but that's part of...
Part of your charm?
Well, thank you. Also part of the charm of Scattershoot.
Of the scatter shoot.
Yeah.
Do you dream a lot at night?
I do.
You do?
Yeah, I do. In
Bad
fact,
dreams? Good dreams? Bad
no,
dreams?
I don't
Neutral?
have bad. Kind of neutral.
Uh-huh.
Just, me walking around checking things out. When I was a kid, I didn't like to sleep at all. I like to be awake. I like to know what's going on. I didn't want anything going on that I couldn't know about, preferably that I could not observe.
Yeah.
I've told that story before. I'm not going to tell it again, I don't think. The story when I was a little tiny kid.
Falling asleep by the door frame?
Yeah. Tell the
I've
story real
heard
quick.
it once or twice.
Okay, all right. Then I won't tell it.
No, go ahead. You can tell it.
well,
Just
it's-
because I've heard it doesn't mean I've heard all your
I'm
stories.
going to translate real quick. Lauren's saying, just because I'm sick of it
I
doesn't
know.
mean
Just because I've already committed it to memory
yeah.
doesn't mean everybody else has heard
I was
it.
firstborn. Always liked staying up. My parents said, Scott, you can't come out of your room anymore. You gotta stay back in your room. And my brother Don had been born, and so I was in a big boy bed now because they kicked me out of the cage, the baby bed. I was not in that anymore.
The cage.
And so I was in a big boy bed. And so that meant I was mobile, which I kind of dug. And so I'm 18 months old, I'm 2 years old, and I'm walking around. And it's always something with this kid. You got to get up. You got to go do something else. You got a glass of water, go to the bathroom, whatever. But it had nothing to do with any of that. It was I didn't want to have to go to sleep. I wanted to know what's going on.
Yeah.
My dad one time, good guy, really good guy, picked me up and took me back to the room. And he pointed to the threshold of the room, and he drew his finger across it. And he said, Scott, I don't want you crossing this line again tonight. Wow. So
You took that to heart.
Well, my dad went back in there, the other room. They're watching Jack Parr or whatever it was on at the time, pre-Johnny Carson days, on some black and white TV. And so they're getting ready to go to bed, and they come back to check on, the boys. And they come back, and they they go to the room and almost trip over little Scott. Little Scott is right there with his pillow right up to that line. And I had fallen asleep there. I didn't break the rule. He said, don't leave the room.
Yeah.
I didn't leave the room, but I kind of wanted to be as close to leaving as possible. You asked me about dreams. But at some point in my life as a kid, I thought, if I go to sleep, it's like going to the movies. And you never know what's playing.
Wow.
You never know what's playing. And it might be good. It might not be good. But it's kind of cool. So, yeah, I still to this day, I dream. I dream all the time. I think I dream every night.
I hardly ever dream.
I think you probably do. You still remember it.
Maybe that's true.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I wish I could write things down as soon as I wake up, because some of I've told you before, it's like, like if I can retain it, it's like they make absolutely no sense. How did these, and there's a whole reason behind all this stuff in dreams and what's in your subconscious and your worries and fears and all this kind of stuff.
I think, when I do dream, it is kind of fun to try to tie it back to things that I thought about or things that I did during the day, or maybe things that I was worried about, that stayed active inside my head even after I went to sleep.
Do you, have you ever been in a dream, and in the dream, your dream person, yourself in the dream, says, I know this is a dream. Have you ever done that?
Something similar to that.
That is the
when I am
coolest
aware
thing.
that it's a dream.
Yeah. Like inside, the Scott in the dream goes, okay, hold on. I can pull myself out of this whenever I want, but this is a dream, and it's going to be okay. But I want to see what's going on.
You're so specific about things. I don't think I'm. I don't think I'm ever that specific.
I really have had that. I've had that a couple of times.
There are times when several hours will pass, or maybe it's even the afternoon, and I'm talking to somebody about something, and I realize I had a dream last night.
Yeah.
About either it's about something that we're talking about, or just something reminds me of it. I don't think bad dreams, nightmares. I could probably count on one hand the time that I've actually had a nightmare, and I don't even remember what
How
they
do you
were.
define nightmare versus bad dreams?
I don't know.
What that is?
I mean, I get
like
maybe
you scream.
A nightmare. I think in this thing that I'm looking at here. A nightmare would have your heart racing and would have your cortisol flowing. Nightmares happen during your rapid eye movement sleep, when the brain is really active, but your muscles are paralyzed.
Isn't that, as I have an app that tells me all this stuff, that's a very short period of time of your sleep, isn't it? No, maybe it's the deep. The deep happens in the first 45 minutes
deep
to hour
sleep,
and a half.
yes.
And then after that, is it REM, the REM sleep?
There's core sleep.
There's REM sleep, core sleep, and deep sleep, or something like that.
Let's look at that.
It's the one that is the second one.
I don't know that they call it REM sleep, though. Oh, they do. They do. Yeah. deep, and then core, and then REM.
That's right. And then the is it the deep or the core that is the shorter? It's only about
Deep is
45
short.
minutes. Yeah, only about 45 minutes long.
Deep is short.
Now,
Yep.
that I think is, and Chris could tell you this, my son Chris. He knows all about the restorative nature of sleep and which is the kind of sleep that you have to
Oh,
get.
yeah.
And anyway, yeah. So, but I mean, in one of those, which one is it? Is it the REM sleep where you do your dreaming?
Yes.
Okay, and then that's a fairly long period of time, relatively, in your night's sleep.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay,
It's when
right.
you see people's eyelids moving quite often
Well, I don't
when they're
really
in their
go
REM.
in. I don't go
sleep.
in and observe them as they're
And
sleeping.
well, I'm not saying you, but you might catch it happening. It's when you see eyelids moving.
Got
I
it.
remember that from when my kids were little. When you might watch them sleep, or be awake during the times that they're sleeping, and
Sure.
you might be more likely to see that. But it turns out that people who have bad dreams or nightmares as many as 3 times a week are more likely to die before the age of 75 than people who rarely have them.
Is that because their bodies are engaged? I mean, your heart is doing stuff that it should not be doing at that time. It should be
Your
sleeping
sleep
and
is
resting.
disrupted.
Got it.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. It also has people who have frequent nightmares, frequent bad dreams are biologically older than their birth certificates might suggest.
Really?
Yeah. Which also has to do with your, the
Interesting.
earlier death, the risk of early death that is associated with people who have nightmares every week, about the same as those who smoke heavily.
Good grief.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
So I'm not going to feel as bad anymore about not dreaming very much. If the opposite of that could mean bad dreams or nightmares, I don't need anything more than I already have pushing me towards an early grave.
Right,
Yeah, I'm working hard against that.
The great guy with the cape and the sickle.
The Grim Reaper. Yeah. If you are suffering from frequent nightmares, frequent bad dreams, there are things that can be done about that. You can see your doctor about that. There are sleep studies that people have done. I think some of it, though, is going to the very first thing, if you're having trouble, any kind of trouble sleeping, if you're not sleeping well, if you're not sleeping enough, or if you're having frequent nightmares, one of the first things they're going to tell you is to put down your screen.
Well, that's not going to work.
It's a
Nobody's doing
sleep
that.
disruptor in a lot of ways.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, just a side note, there's one of the radio stations where we travel to do work. And on the same floor as the radio station, I always thought this was an interesting.
I know what you're going to, yeah.
Is it in Sacramento, maybe?
No, it's in San Francisco.
It is in San Francisco. Where in the same floor of this building. So I don't know, the 3rd floor, 5th floor, whatever it is. And you get off the, what is it called? The elevator.
The elevator.
You get off the elevator. If you turn left, you go to the radio station. You turn right, you go to a sleep study clinic, which I thought was so funny because radio people are always never sleeping. They're all, not Lauren, of course, but I mean, the raccoon eyes, and we're all, barely getting by.
Well, and the people coming out of the elevator, or the people who are getting in the elevator to leave at the end of their sleep study early in the morning, they've got bed head and pillows and
kids.
blankets. Yeah. It seems a lot of us have some things to learn between now and next year, which is
4th of July.
really good because we have a whole year to do it. But it appears that there are those among us who have some trouble with some things that I would think are pretty simple.
Okay.
One of them, searches for how to spell independence.
Like for Independence Day?
Yeah, we're up by
Independence. How else would you spell it?
Up 85%.
Wait, can I
over the
guess?
holiday weekend.
Let me
Yes.
guess. Somebody
There's
wants
one is the most common.
It's the one I'm going to say. I guarantee
Okay.
it. Independence. An A.
INDA. Yes, that's exactly right. There are also people confused about dependents. Like if you have young kids, they are your dependents. So it might be
Goodness
INDEPENDENTS.
gracious.
It's not that, kids. That's not how you spell Independence Day. So, and it turns out these are mostly people who people who would identify as Gen Z. So I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. The spelling is one thing, but if you don't know from whom we gained our independence, that's a problem.
They don't
Don't
know
you
that
think?
either.
They don't know that either. A whole lot of them don't know that.
What are they,
I tried to,
what do they
benefit of the
think?
doubt. I tried to think, well, the 4th of July, that doesn't happen during the school year.
Right.
So maybe a lot of people maybe they didn't spend enough time on that lesson. But yeah, fewer than 58 people, respondents to this survey in that Gen Z category correctly answered that America gained its freedom from Great Britain. A whole bunch of people thought that we gained our independence from the Native Americans.
That's from Indians?
Yeah.
That's Thanksgiving.
That's a different holiday, kids. South America was pretty high on the list
way.
too.
What is wrong
Europe,
with people?
maybe French Canada, maybe Spain, and then a whole lot of them just didn't really even know. It's just pop a top on a cold one, eat a hot dog, and celebrate
That's right.
our independence, but doesn't really even matter who we celebrated it from. And I was thinking, this is a great opportunity to, for parents to educate your Gen Z kids between now and next year, because there's nothing that 20-somethings love more than a history lesson from mom and dad.
Yeah,
right?
Sure. Yeah, they seem really, and the reason they can't spell anything is because their favorite thing they're on all the time, that they think it actually spelled TIKTOK.
That is terrible.
So they don't
but
even.
so true.
Yeah.
Do you have any regrets about the way you parented your kids?
Absolutely none.
So confident. So confident.
No.
I wouldn't say I have a lot of regrets.
Hold on. I only say, I can only say that because of course I have regrets.
Because none of your kids are listening right now.
Well, that too. No, actually,
your kids do listen.
All three of them listen. Sure, I think so. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I've even told them, there are things absolutely I would have done differently. I was, as you might imagine, I was a rather. It wasn't like the Great Santini, but you could see it from there. I mean, it never physically abusive. I mean, almost no corporal punishment at all. But I had expectations, and I sort of, I would do things differently. I think I would be, as hard as this is to believe, I would probably be more easygoing than I was. I think I was, as much as I'm still kind of, I'm naturally caffeinated, but then, as you know, I was ridiculously caffeinated, and so I think I would want to go a little easier. I think
high expectations aren't a bad thing.
No, they're not.
Maybe just tempered with a little more of.
I think I didn't have the tempering. I don't have the temper gene, or didn't have it at the time. Didn't develop it. Like I should have. So I think I would do. I don't think I would have been. I know I would not have been harsher on anything, but there were some things, and for me, you treat boys, or I did treat boys differently from girls. They're very different. Yeah. And I was really familiar with boys, Wilder boys, growing up the Wilder boys, and then when I had Wilder boys, that was easier for me because you could sort of bark. A dad can sort of bark at boys, and it doesn't seem like nagging.
I think there's even a different there's even a different feeling of a man's hand on a shoulder, of your dad's hand on your shoulder, that is different.
I think for me, that was easier. Caroline, it was a grand experiment, and it turned out fantastic. But I had no idea of what to do with a daughter. It was like what. And so it was, but I think I was a better dad probably to the boys for the things that I learned from being a dad to Caroline. But even that said, I certainly, yes. The short answer to your question is absolutely.
Maybe one or two things.
I don't want to say regret so much because that puts such a negative. Or there are things that I would have done differently. And maybe that's exactly the same meaning of that. Maybe that's exactly the meaning of regret. But I don't know. Maybe not things I wish I had not done, that sort of a regret, but things I could have done differently.
Yeah.
I think that's what I would say. But yeah, sure. I'm sure there are also some things that are just regrets. Sure.
There is something that I said as a parent probably 1,000 times, maybe more than that.
Yeah.
That maybe I shouldn't have.
Really?
I don't know if I agree with this. I think a lot of it has to do with the perspective from which it came.
Was it when you told your children, "I'd love you better if you had better grades"? Because I'm told you're not supposed to say that.
I only said that like 1 or 2 times. No, I never said that. I never said that. One kid, though, you'll be able to guess which kid this was. In 7th or 8th grade, on a little Post-it note, I had the grades that he needed to get every 6 weeks in order to keep all of his privileges.
Stuff, yeah.
And they weren't all A's even. They were really well thought out things, like what I really
expected.
What I thought were reasonable expectations for him. And that Post-it note stayed on the bulletin board in his room through college. I mean, it was on that bulletin board long after he, moved out of that room.
It's good.
No, I never said that. But what I did say, and I think that, I don't know that I even think that this was necessarily a bad thing to say. I do see how maybe the tone of voice or the frame of mind that a parent is in could matter when they say it. But there's a parenting expert.
Okay.
I don't even really know what the qualifications are for that. But 2 words that slip out easily when your child experiences an emotional event.
Emotional event.
Maybe they tripped and fell and they've got a skinned knee, or they had a fight with a friend and they start to you see it on their face, and maybe they come to you for comfort and you say, "You're okay."
Okay.
I said that so many times.
We've talked about fun with inflection.
Yeah.
It depends how you say that.
It'd be different if I said, "You're okay."
You're all like, roll your eyes like, "Oh, come on, pick yourself up.
You'll
kid."
be fine. You'll be fine.
But, we used to say, rub some dirt on it. I mean, you're going to be okay. You just, really, so you get up, you walk it off, right? You tell it usually, no, I mean, obviously not talking about a broken leg.
Yeah.
But if it's just, a sort of a boo-boo, or I made a mistake, or I fell down.
Yeah.
You get back up and then just keep going.
I think that was my intention. My intention was to offer comfort. Like, this feels really bad now, but it's not going to last forever.
There you go.
Whatever the pain is, if it's the pain of a skinned knee or a broken heart, it's not going to last forever, and you are going to be okay. Or maybe the comfort that I was offering, even like when they were really little and they come and climb up in your lap, "You're okay, I've got you. You're going to be okay. Nothing bad is going to happen. You're going to be okay." Well, apparently that can teach kids to doubt their own emotions. If you were telling them you're okay before they even have a chance to cry it out,
go through it,
they might think, "What I'm feeling must not be real."
Look, the olden times, the movies, the TV shows were the dad was strong, the mom was supportive, and the kids learned the lessons, right? And then these days, it is the kids are right, the mom supports the kids, and the dumb dad, learns the lessons.
Sometimes that is true.
And sometimes it's just like, if your child is doing this, maybe they're trying to tell you something. Maybe they're trying to just listen more. It's like, okay, hold on a second. I can listen more, but if they're standing there with a can of gasoline in the left hand and a lighter in the right hand, I'm not gonna chat. We're gonna fix the problem, and then we're gonna sit down and we'll, sing Kumbaya and have some marshmallows around the fire. But everything just seems like the fire that we put in place intentionally, not the one that could have been.
Not the one that they set with the can of gasoline.
This used to be our den. So I think sometimes those experts are a little bit in that latter category of TV shows, right?
Yeah.
The dads don't know anything. They don't know anything. The moms know quite a bit, but the kids really lead the way. And the moms support the kids, and the dads are like, "Really? I never knew that's what that was for."
That's sitcom, though. I don't think. Do you think people really take that seriously?
It's like there was a day when they never did that, and now there's a day when it almost is never the way it used to be. You're not going to have a sitcom, generally speaking, that has sort of a father knows best sort of way.
Yeah.
It's not going to be like that. It's going to be different. It's going to be where the dad, he's hardly involved at all. He's emotionally unplugged, if not physically also not there. Comes at the end of the day when all the stuff has already gone on. And I ran across a thing the other day about the Wonder Years.
And I saw that.
I sent that actually to you.
Yeah, I know. You did. But you know why I didn't watch that show.
Are you kidding me?
I saw a handful of episodes, but I was not a dedicated watcher
that was a
of
good
that
one.
show.
Part of the reason this is so weird, I don't know what years it was on. I can't remember when it was on.
I know that it started after a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I remember it premiered after a Super Bowl in the late 80s.
Yeah. I think it was because I had a great interest in who did the voice. The guy was in
Daniel Stern.
Daniel Stern.
Yeah.
So Daniel Stern was the voice of Kevin.
Of the grown-up Kevin.
As he's reflecting on his childhood.
Yeah.
The sort of patriarchal, traditional, would now be called toxic, patriarchy.
Yeah.
Sort of made fun of. It's not really looked up to. It's sort of like.
But that's different from the dumb dad, right?
The dumb dad that doesn't know how to do laundry.
Yeah.
Or he doesn't know what laundry detergent to buy, except that he thinks it's the blue one.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay,
yeah.
Really? I mean, imagine, and maybe
doesn't know how to change a diaper.
No, doesn't
know what time the kids get picked up from school.
No idea.
Doesn't know what grade the kids are in.
No, he doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
And imagine if that were, and maybe it used to be, but if that were always said about a female gender or a certain color of person or a certain background of person.
Yeah.
That would be like, man, that's kind of crazy. Everything on TV is talking about these people are lazy or these women don't know what they're doing.
I mean, there have been plenty of unflattering characterizations of women on television over the years.
Yeah,
from one end of the spectrum to the other.
Yeah.
But I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Let's look at a couple of these other things. There were 5 reasons that you're not supposed to say this. And
Really?
and before first of all, I think my kids are all well-adjusted in this area. I don't think I did any permanent damage by saying, you're okay, when they started to cry.
Couple of them have ticks. But no. They're all,
I hope it's not because of this.
They're all perfectly fine.
Okay. Another one is it invalidates their experience when they need you most. So if you're saying it in a way that tells them your feelings about this don't really matter, that's exactly it. Dismissal, however subtle it might be, teaches them that comfort and connection are only available when they're calm. Like, you got to be calm to get that connection from me. So stop crying. You're okay.
Your kid has a breakup, is broken up with by their boyfriend or a girlfriend.
Yeah.
And to the little boy, you would say, there are plenty of fish in the sea.
Yeah.
Like, don't worry. You weren't going to marry her anyway. This is fine.
Not really addressing the heartbreak.
It's like, dude, I mean, he's bummed right now. Let him be bummed or help him. Don't dismiss it like, look, son, I've been around a long time. You're gonna have your heart broken. This ain't it.
Yeah.
She ain't the one. It's like, ooh, man, that's not.
I hope I never did anything like that.
Mm-hmm. No, your voice was higher.
Another thing it could possibly teach them is that your love is conditional.
Yes.
Without realizing it. If you say you're okay or stop crying or don't be scared, it might make them feel like they need to suppress their emotions to be accepted by you.
Big boys don't cry.
So,
big boys
stuff
don't
like
cry.
that.
Are you a girl? Are you a girl? Only girls cry.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
That is the kind of thing that the real old school sort of guys would say: "Is boys don't cry. That's what girls do. What are you crying for?
Oh.
Are you a boy or a girl? Ooh." Yikes.
That would hurt.
Yeah, it would.
That would really hurt.
Yeah.
Another thing it can do, it can rewire a child's whole stress response. Like, their nervous system develops through repeated experiences.
Okay.
So if a kid is upset and if they're met with dismissal of that emotion instead of support, then their body learns that it's not safe to express emotion.
Suppress it.
Over time, that can reshape their nervous system to expect disconnection, making it harder to trust and feel safe being themselves.
Okay. If somebody wanted those 5, could they email you?
Absolutely.
Okay. Podcast@wildershow.com.
Yep.
Podcast@wildershow.com. I didn't mean to cut you off. Is there more?
No, that's
Yeah,
great.
that's really.
There are even some
really.
suggestions of things to say instead.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, you'll send that, right?
I will.
Okay, send me a copy too, because I want a copy.
I'll do it.
Okay, that is the Wilder Show podcast. Instagram, you'll find us there. Search Wilder Show Pod. And you'll find us and you follow us and you tell your friends. And we appreciate that. If you want to send us email, just email to podcast@wildershow.com. Wilder Show podcast drops Tuesdays and Fridays, 6 a.m. Central Time or before on Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeart, Amazon, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. So like, rate, follow, subscribe, and share. And please do remember all of our friends in the Hill Country and the girls from Camp Mystic and their families and all those who were suffering. And not just the camp. There were 6 counties that had people die as a result of the flooding. So, Travis, on and on.
Yeah.
The counties that were impacted. So our prayers are with you. I don't expect anyone there is probably listening, but I want you to know that we're praying for you. And if you haven't done that yet, I hope you'll do it even right now. And Lauren, thank you.
My pleasure.
And we will see you next time.
Dun, dun.